Hello everybody and welcome back to another talking video. Yeah, instead of me talking about YouTube for 20 minutes, this time I'm going to talk about a little something different, a little bit more personal, I guess, a little bit more serious, because I guess a lot of other people can relate to this. Instead of me shitting on YouTube for 20 minutes, it's time to shit on social media as a whole. Now, social media is quite fatiguing in a way because it's quite different to, physical talking. A lot of people misassociate social media as just normal, to be honest, because quite frankly, it isn't. You're talking with random people on the internet. It's basically just a metaphor for talking to random strangers in real life. It's not normal, in my opinion. Like, no one would really talk with random strangers in public, and yet they'll do this kind of stuff because it's the internet after all. Everyone's physically separated from one another. You're safe, you know. But this kind of internet, social media, all this kind of crap can get fatiguing and just get kind of tiring after a while. You sit there and you just realize, what the fuck am I doing? Take an example. Go on a Discord server with 200,000 other members, or just any big Discord server as a matter of fact. You start to see that if you go into the general chat, it's actually quite hard to have meaningful conversations. Only about 50 out of the 200,000 people in that server actually talk in the general chat, because it's quite hard to say your first word, because you just join the Discord server with a bunch of random other people, and literally you don't know what you're doing. Because the general chat isn't like a talking space at all. It's just a mindless chat of just random ass people talking about random topics that you don't know of. What do I mean? We'll take his general chat for example, which is filled with like 10 people trying to have meaningful conversations that just get drowned out by 5 people constantly spamming memes, for example. Drowned out by 5 people advertising their terrible channels. And just another 10 people talking about a completely different topic. It's quite hard to actually have meaningful conversation in these massive servers because, quite frankly, there aren't any meaningful conversations. Instead, they're just mindless numbing and just nothing. So why don't you talk on smaller Discord servers, as a matter of fact? Because nothing happens in smaller ones. Literally, if you get 200 people in a Discord server, like me, I own a Discord server with 200 people, literally nothing happens in it. Why? Because even though it's the internet, even though people feel a lot more confident on the internet, people are still scared to say the first word. Why? Because they want to still act like they're the same with the rest. Saying the first word is quite difficult, even in small servers, because there's barely anyone else that will react to your message. There's less people that share the same interests with you, and it's just quite frankly harder to talk with a smaller group of people than a bigger group of people. So you got these two extreme ends of Discord servers, between a really populated Discord server with terrible and terrible conversations, to the most littlest of Discord servers that have zero conversations happening into them. Now, internet fatigue can happen in a way where you just don't know what you're doing anymore. Take this for example, you're on a big Discord server, but you're just spectating, you're not even interacting with the Discord server at all. And now, I know this relates with a lot of people. Literally, all you do is you just sit on the Discord server. You don't even talk a single word, because you're just sitting there and watching what happens, following up on the internet drama that's happening on that Discord server without really doing anything. You're just watching there. You're just watching other people talk, which is weird because you need to question yourself. What the fuck am I doing? Why am I watching random ass people talk? Because, quite frankly, what the hell are you doing? Why are you looking at random people talk? Why are you just... You're not even interacting with the server. What good does this do for you? What good does this actually do for you? Another issue with social media, as a matter of fact, is just having friends in general. I don't always consider online friends to be in real life friends, and you definitely need to have a separation between online friends and normal friends, because those are two completely different things. With your in real life friends, at least, you're a little bit more connected to them, physically, actually. You can talk to them physically, you can meet up with them, you can do whatever you want, go to the shops, do random shit together. Well, online friends is a lot harder because there's a physical separation between you two. It's a lot harder because, again, it's social media. Often it's hard to actually convey in text what you actually intend, and a lot of serious arguments occur with online relationships because, quite frankly, a lot of people take things out of context. a lot of people take offense for random jokes, and a lot of people just don't really understand what you're trying to say. And that is a huge issue with social media. Sometimes what you're trying to say isn't really what you're trying to think of. Okay, that was a terrible metaphor. Okay. Sometimes what you're trying to say isn't what you intended at all, meaning the other person will probably not actually understand what you're saying at all, and online relationships get a little bit tricky with that. Another huge issue with online relationships is, again, you're talking with random strangers. It's like a very good metaphor for if you're walking down the street and you decide to talk with another person randomly. You have no relations over them. You just go up to some random dude and you say, hello, let's be friends. That's basically Discord. That's basically social media, as a matter of fact. And adding friends on social media, that's basically what you're doing. And people don't really realize this because, again, it's an internet. It's all on the online world, and nothing physically actually happens. Another thing with social media is the block button, for example. The block button, in real life, there's no such thing as the block button. All you can do is basically refrain yourself from ever talking to them ever again in real life. But on social media, there's always a block button. There's always the block button in case you ever need it. What happens if you talk to someone that berates you? Blocked. What happens if you talk to someone that disagrees with you? Blocked. What happens if they have the better opinion? Blocked. Literally just block everyone that you don't like. And that's a big issue because people are misinterpreting this for in real life. Why? Because you can't just block people in real life. You can't just block the negativity out of your life. You're going to have to deal with it. Because what happens if you get into a serious argument in real life? You're going to actually have to deal with it. You can't just block them out of your life because you just can't. There's no way you could. Unless you physically separate themselves. Unless you go to the police and ask for a separating order, whatever the fuck you call it. Unless you do that, it's impossible for yourself to actually block yourself out of an argument. You actually have to use your relationship skill. You actually have to use your social skills and actually try to resolve the conflict by negotiating by any means. You can't really do this in the online world because you can simply just block other people. And that is a huge issue because then people are starting to be a lot more aggressive in real life because, they think they can just block all the negativity out of their face. And that's not good, in my opinion. So all this kind of crap that I've been talking about social media and versus in real life is a huge issue, but pretty much the easiest way to fix all this is just to not use social media too often. And if you do use social media, try to be with the people that care about you the most. Because if you, interact with your in real life friends on social media, that's a lot better than interacting with random strangers you've never met before. Because, quite frankly, being with the people that care with you the most is the most worthwhile experience. And it all works out in the end.